Yes, it's me. It's me. It's the MIC Craig, aka Mr. Impact here, episode 2 of Talking Bloody Nonsense. I'm of course joined by my very good co-host Nixon. How are we doing?
Yeah, all good. Thank you, Craig. It's been a week. Um, what with I don't know if you watched Boris on the TV earlier. I can't make head and tails of what's going on in the UK at the moment. What with all this, but we're not a COVID podcast. We are a wrestling podcast, so I don't want to dwell on that too much.
I completely understand. It's a mess, but hey, let's just want to get into it and just start talking some wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on this show, we start with a main headline and we go to our subheadings. Our main headline this week is, as I'm sure most of you are familiar with, Scarlett Bordeaux had a little interview stating that her and Killer Kross have no interest in coming back to Impact Wrestling. Obviously, the past has happened. We think we know. We've heard stories of what we think we know about what went down between Impact and Scarlett and Kross. But I want to get your thoughts on it. Was it? Should they be saying that, or given the kind of limited companies they are to work for, should they be saying that, "Oh, we'll never go back to this company"? And thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what happened with Kross, Scarlett, and Impact. I can only assume or even speculate, because I believe Scarlett used to be in a relationship with Jimmy Jacobs, who's part of management. Obviously, well, not obviously. I'm guessing there was some sort of messy breakup. Kross wasn't happy about it, or maybe there's hurt feelings there. Again, I'm speculating. I have no idea what is going on in their personal lives. Here's the thing. I don't think it's wise for Killer Kross to burn bridges, because there's not that many places that he would fit in a wrestling capacity. I can't see him being on New Japan's to get list. I can't see him being on AEW's radar right now. There's so many guys and girls for AEW to pick up. So where else is there for Kross to go? I did read that maybe he's getting an acting gig at some point, so there is work out there for him. And Scarlett will have plenty of job offers coming, I'm sure, in the wrestling world. What with Glow relaunching at some point, and Shimmer, lots of different female wrestling companies. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty of work for them. But Impact Wrestling, and this is going to sound harsh, and hopefully I don't offend anyone by saying this, but we don't need them. We've got a stacked roster, and more and more people coming in. We don't need Killer Kross and Scarlett right now. They had a great run when they were here previously. I was behind Killer Kross. I thought he was doing some great stuff. But right now, we have a tremendous main event scene, which we talked about last week. We just don't need them.
Yeah, I think the general consensus amongst Impact fans is exactly that. We don't need them, and honestly, it seems like most don't want them. From what I've heard and what I've read, but again, I don't know if any of it's true. I don't think either side handled that situation particularly well. But from what I've heard is some accusations were made against Dawn towards Scarlett, or from Scarlett towards Dawn. Again, I know that apparently an NDA was signed, but again, it's all speculation from what I've been hearing. Then that whole thing with Kid Ref came out. It's just Scarlett and Killer Kross are talented. I can't deny that. I don't think anyone can really deny that. But I mean, again, because it's at this point it is all speculation. We don't know what happened between either side. But for the most part, what seems to. I mean, if more than one person saying it, there has to be some sort of truth behind it. So if looking at what I've heard and what multiple people have said, it's the fact that Killer Kross was asking for more money after signing for 2 years, I believe, but he hadn't even gone through a year yet. Which, you know, if that, I said it at the time, I've written several articles about it. It's the same with Scarlett. She was asking for more money as well. At the time, that contract was good for you. You agreed that amount for that time. I understand things change, but if you sign a contract, honor that for as long as you can. It's all about, how can I put this? If you give someone your word, you should stick to that. I understand, Impact. Impact don't offer loads and lots and lots of money. They can't. In Impact, when you sign, you have to hustle. You have to get on. If you get Twitch, you have to get merch. You have to get whatever you can to make money. Or Impact will let you have that free reign. I don't think any promotion currently has that type of foundation where you sign, you're on national TV, or international TV. Yes, you can be seen from everywhere around the world, and you can make money off your own back. You don't have to. Impact doesn't have to be your main source of income, and you can do what you want whenever you want, as long as you put Impact as a priority. Which, nothing wrong with that. It's all about hustling. That's the main focus for Impact. If you sign, you hustle. Matt Cardona is a prime example of that.
Absolutely. If I could just make a quick point, I did read that Kross and Scarlett thought they were worth more than their current contract. But here's the thing: they were worth more, but only because Impact put them in a position to prove themselves and create stars out of themselves. So if they didn't feel like they're on the right amount of money, like you said, get some side hustles going. Look at Zelina Vega. She's got a tremendous Twitch following, same as Paige. Kross could have done acting stuff. He could have done other side hustles. He could have made that money, elsewhere.
Yeah.
By using Impact as a platform to promote himself. Yeah, that's my beef with that.
No, I completely agree. It's from what, again, because this is all speculation, and it's just we've heard this, heard that, but again, from what I've heard, it's that I believe Kross was asking for 6 figures. Don't know the exact amount, but after being there for 2-3 months at that point, it was still during the Aries thing, which that thing with Moose crossing Aries, I loved.
Yeah.
The Moose crossing, whatever you want to call it, that was great stuff. But I mean, Kross, like I said, they're both really talented. But if you just go out from before your I believe Scarlett is free at the minute. Yeah, Scarlett's anyone who's done her no compete because she was signed with NXT.
Yeah.
The Kross has still got 20 odd days, I think. So, but to go out and say that we don't want to work for this company when ROH just shut down, like you said, AEW, I can't see them being at the top of their list. Especially AEW have a lot of talent. Yes, they have 3 shows, but there's a point where AEW they're gonna start monopolizing wrestling.
Yeah.
At this point, fair play to them, they're giving people jobs, but eventually it's going to come a time where you realize, okay, we don't have the time to put everyone we're signing on TV. Yes, they pre-tape Dark, is it? Yep. They have 4. So they have 4 shows. So it's Dark, Dark Elevation, Rampage, and Dynamite. Yeah, but even so, I mean, it looks like they're going to be getting the Briscoes. It looks like they would probably be getting. I don't know about Gresham. I believe Gresham was there at some point.
They've got to pick Gresham up. Gresham's perfect for AEW.
Yeah, it's Kyle O'Reilly. Is it Kyle O'Reilly? Yeah, Kyle O'Reilly just been released. They're going to bring him in. Yeah, big UE guy. They're gonna bring Kyle O'Reilly in because it makes too much sense for them not to bring him. So it doesn't make too much sense for not to. So at this point, saying you're not going to work for a company, I get it. You have your issues, but don't just. For start, this company is different from the left. Don Callis is no longer there. Scott D'Amore is doing a phenomenal job. Anthem, they're not really too heavily involved from what I understand. They're just the money. And with Gail Kim coming on as an authority figure, things have changed in Impact. And I think I've noticed with Impact is you get one chance, you mess that up, you're gone. Like you only get one chance at Impact, and you got to respect that because a lot of companies will bring people back in and they just do exactly the same again.
Yeah. If I could just make a quick point about Don Callis, I mean, he's no longer there. So if there is some sort of conspiracy, that's not the word I want. If there was foul play there, then surely him being gone would be a perfect reason for them to want to come back.
Yeah.
Unless this whole interview is a work, and in 2 months' time they both reappear. You never know.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, because to go out there and say that when you know that they're a viable option right now, if you want a contract with money, they're probably your best option.
Yeah.
Really thinking about it, they are the best option because we've seen what they can do with released guys before. They can make them stars.
Yes, exactly.
So I think it's unnecessary to say we're never going to go back there because in wrestling you can never say never.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, but we move on. Yeah, so this is our first subheading tonight. Now, it's been a conversation amongst Impact fans and wrestling fans in general for quite some time, particularly with Knockouts Knockdown just taking place. But even before that, there was some sort of buzz because obviously it's going back to the TNA show that hadn't access just before lockdown and all that stuff happened. It drew in big numbers, proving that Impact should capitalize on running a second show. And a lot of people felt like it should be a Knockouts only weekly show. Again, with Evolution and Empower and all that, do you think now's the time, or do you think it's not necessary at this point?
It's hard to say. I don't think it's 100% necessary right now, but they've got such a big roster. But here's the thing: Impact do a good job of putting their talent on TV as much as possible. It's not like AEW where, I don't know, Lee Moriarty, I'm just throwing his name out as an example. It was on TV 1 week. You're not going to see him now for another 4 weeks. You see people regularly. If they want to build the Knockouts division even more, then it would be a perfect platform to do just that, to get people like Alicia Edwards featured more prominently, or build up Lady Frost, who just signed. Great acquisition there.
Yes.
If you want to showcase her a little bit more, even get Jordan Grace defending the DMC every week. on that show. I think it would definitely help. But right now, they're doing a good job without that extra show. If we're talking a new show, is it going to be a YouTube show, or Anthem going to put it on Access? What are we talking about here? Do we know?
Yeah, I believe it's supposed to be an Access only show. They will get if talking about making it TNA, and then Impact following, but I think people are more leaning towards a Knockouts only TV show on Access.
If you did TNA, I mean, what would you do? Just bring back the old TNA guys? It would be like WWE CW all over again. I'd get some nostalgia pops for it, but it wouldn't last long.
No. This is how I've always. I'm not saying I'm against it, because but it kind of, what do you do? Do you take the women off Impact and then just have them on the Knockouts only show?
Yeah. That wouldn't make sense at all.
Yeah. See, I'm trying to tread carefully on how I put this, but people at the minute, equality is a big thing, as it should be. Then, if you take women off a show and put them on their own show, what good does that do for the women on that show? If you find equal time for everyone on a show, on one show, surely that's like real equality, where everyone is on the same level.
But yeah, exactly. If I'm guessing this extra show that we're talking about would only be 1 hour, so if you bring the knockouts and just put them on that show and feature the 2-hour Impact show as just men, that's not equality. That's massively inequality.
Right. I mean, the Knockouts division is the best division in wrestling right now and has been for many years. Yes, it's dipped off a few times, but it's always been better than what the other companies are putting out. Always, without any doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
And like you said, Impact do a great job of finding time for everyone. It's like the Attitude Era. Everyone has a spot on the show or has some sort of storyline going on.
Yeah.
There's a few who aren't focused on as much, but the next month they'll be put on TV more and have more to do. But so they rotate it well, and they just Impact do a great job in general of just making sure everyone has the time to get over. And that's all wrestling's about. Just get over. You get over, there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah.
Quickly go back to Kross for a second. He's a perfect example of that. No one really knew him when he came in, but it got to the point where he was only there for 3 months, but WWE were interested in him. WWE wanted to bring him over. I don't think William Regal pays too much attention to every independent going on in the States. I know he goes to PWG occasionally, or we go to pop up occasionally, but I don't think Kross was ever part of the BOLA, but Battles of Los Angeles. So it's Knockouts TV show. I'm all for having Knockouts Knockdown every year. I would love a Knockouts Knockdown every year because it's a great show, and especially this year. Even though it kind of felt like it was a little bit thrown together at the last minute, I don't know if you got that impression as well. Kind of felt like, we'll do it so we can get more people in, type of thing, because there was no rumors of it. And with the people, I believe Veda Scott, she had a week's notice to come in and do it. So I think it's kind of thrown together.
It did feel like Impact's answer to Empower. Yeah. It was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. Not that affected the show really. I loved the Monsters Ball as a great tribute to Daphne. And there's some good tournament matches in there. And Diona versus Masha Slamovich was tremendous. I think if you did that every year, There'd be something to look forward to, something you could build to, and maybe even do it as one of your pay-per-views, not just an Impact Plus special.
Yeah, it was a great show. Mickie James and Vader Scott did an incredible job on commentary. Melissa Santos being back as a ring announcer, again, amazing.
She's great.
She did such a good job where people wanted her as the main ring announcer every week.
I love Dave Pinzer, but I wouldn't be offended by Santos coming in every week.
Yeah, so I love Penzer. He's a great dude. I had a few interactions with him, whether it be on social media, and just a great dude. Clearly knows what he's doing. And for me, it's like a throwback to TNA.
Yeah.
Even though I know a lot of people mostly associate with him with WCW, but WCW closed 3 years after I was born. So, oh dear. Yeah, I get that reaction a lot.
I used to watch WCW on Channel 5 through 99 and 2000.
Yeah, see, I recently found out that my family was a WCW family, wrestling family. I always know them as a WWE family because that's what I saw them watch. Probably because I was 3 at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I love Panzer, but Santos is great. But as a whole, as a knockouts only weekly show, because it was a big conversation leading up to Knockdown, and it's kind of picked up again now, not as much, but I thought it would be something interesting to talk about on here because obviously new perspective coming from you, but I don't think it's necessary at all because you don't need. Why take them off a show to put them on their own show when they can just do an even better job of putting them on the show for everyone else and making them feel as important as everyone else? I mean, the Knockouts title is now the Knockouts World title, Knockouts World Championship, which is I love,
Yeah.
Because I know for a few years, I believe it was, I don't particularly pay much attention to them, but PWI wouldn't recognize the Impact World Championship as a World Championship, which was just ridiculous to me.
That's ludicrous, yeah.
Yeah, I see. I don't know for certain, but it was, as far as I was aware, it was recognized as a world championship up until Tessa Blanchard held it. It was until Tessa became world champion, and then, funny enough, after Tessa relinquished it, they recognized it again.
That's some outrageous sexism there.
Yeah, it came across that way. Like, I never really bought PWI. I never really paid much attention to it. Like, they're top 10, top 100 wrestlers. It's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They're journalists. It's opinion. All that is opinion based. It confuses me with PWI. But anyway, getting back off a tangent and on to we have some Impact on Access TV action coming up this week. But before we do, let's go back and take a little preview of last week's. We had Deonna Purrazzo and the Drama King Matthew Raywalt defeating the team of Chris Sabin and Mickie James. Excuse me. We had Eric Young defeating Rhino in a street fight, which led to a kind of union of Fight by Design and the Good Brothers. We also had all 4 members of Decay defeating the Influation, team of the Influence, Madison Rain and Tenille Dashwood.
The Inspiration.
Yeah, whatever they're called. Not anymore, because after I had a bit of disagreement in between during the match, which led to Tenille getting pinned, I believe. I should have gone back and watched this, but yeah, Tenille getting pinned, and then a bit of back and forth between the two teams. Also on that show, Finjuice defeated the team of the Learning Tree in VSK and Zicky Dice. Rohit Raju and Lawrence D. I want to say it ended in a no contest, but I mean, Rohit was hit first.
Yeah, by
so
the rules
maybe
of wrestling, Rohit Raju won that match by DQ. But it's going to go down as a no contest, isn't it?
Yeah. And that is because the walking weapon, Josh Alexander, came to the ring to tell Scott D'Amore, or to call out Jonah, but is interrupted by Scott D'Amore saying that Jonah wasn't there. But it's now official for Hard to Kill. You have Josh Alexander versus Jonah. And the main event, which I believe it was only Cardona's spot in the match on the line, and not Morrissey. But I think Striker said it was both of them. Confusing. But anyway, Matt Cardona defeated W. Morrissey. And also on the show, the Knockouts Ultimate X was announced. We have Rosemary, Lady Frost, Tasha Steeles, Jordan Grace, Savannah Evans, and Chelsea Green, which seemed to come under a little bit of controversy from Impact fans because a lot of them, myself included, wanted to see Alicia Edwards in that match over Chelsea Green or over Chelsea Green, because the rest makes sense. But let's get your thoughts on what segment of the night / match of the night, and just a general feeling of the show.
Well, the big thing I want to talk about from this show is the inspiration versus decay. So if you remember last week, I was ready for this match. I really wanted to see it. And then I saw it, and I was massively disappointed. I messaged you straight after watching it, actually. I just think they had an opportunity. By they, I mean the wrestlers, the agent, Impact Wrestling themselves, whoever booked the match. They had an opportunity to do something unique and special. And as far as I'm concerned, they shit the bed. I thought the match was a massive disappointment. And that I really don't mean to disrespect the wrestlers in the match. They did a great job at doing what they were supposed to do. But, whoever put that match together, I just felt a bit let down. The way I would have booked the match was have the influence, the inspiration, and Caleb with a K against Decay. So 5-on-4. Then you could have had someone who would actually bump around for Black Taurus, because you can't really have Black Taurus throwing Jesse McKay and Cassie Lee around. I know he did the spot where he threw Tennille onto Caleb, which was fine, but that's all he did in that match. And there's far better ways you can utilize Black Taurus than that. I just expected more comedy, more shenanigans. As I say, I was just let down by it. What did you think of it, Craig?
See, I wasn't expecting too much from that match in the beginning. I thought it would be fun. Anyway, again, like I said, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from that match. I thought now you've mentioned it, I agree Caleb should have been in that match, because I'm all for intergender wrestling when it makes sense, and this didn't necessarily make sense because, like I said, Taurus had next to nothing to do in that match. Because Taurus is obviously a big guy, and there's only so much he can hold back.
Yeah.
And if it's going to hurt no matter what. And I haven't, I've never been in the ring with anyone or even seen Black Taurus in person, but that's a big guy. It's going to hurt if he knocks you down.
Mm-hmm.
There's no other way to say that. So the fact that it didn't do a lot for him, I understand. Crazy Steve, obviously he's done this type of stuff before, so he can kind of make it work for himself.
Yeah.
Rosemary and Havoc had no issues, and not in terms of the match itself. the influation didn't have. They did their job. They did it well. But yeah, I wasn't expecting a lot from the match. It was okay. I mean, it was set up for what's going to take place this week, but I was fine with it. I wouldn't. It's not going to make any lists of the year, but it was fine. I liked it.
Fair enough. I'll give you this. After seeing the angle where Tennille was rolled in and then got pinned after Rosemary, best mate Rosemary, new best mate Rosemary.
Yeah.
After she speared her and pinned her, you know, that kind of made sense because she'd taken the big throw, straight back in, spear, 1, 2, 3. Decay can move on from this, and the match I now want to see is the inspiration versus the influence, and I'm guessing that's where they're headed for Hard to Kill. So in that aspect, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I want to get your opinion on the Josh Alexander Scott D'Amore segment as well, because I mean, first of all, someone needs to tell Scott D'Amore what Josh Alexander's wife is called. She's called Jade, not Jen. I don't know who Jen person is. Of course, we're a friend and all that, but it's Jade, not Jen. But yeah, I want to get your thoughts on that, and Josh keeping his emotions in check.
Yeah. Not only that, she's Jade Chung. She is a wrestling personality. She was in Ring of Honor. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked the segment. I would have preferred to have seen a finish to the Rohit Larry D match. Yeah, I think it kind of made both of them and Raj Singh look weak by Josh just mowing them all down. But I guess, you know, they're focused on building Josh at the moment. You know, they can rebuild Rohit and that crew. Yeah, I like this story arc of Josh not being able to handle his emotions. It gives him something to do whilst they wait for the opportunity to build him up for the world title again, which, you know, there's plenty of time for that. So yeah, I enjoyed the segment, and I'm hyped for Josh and Jonah at the pay-per-view. I think it's going to be a great match.
Yeah, it's going to be a banger. So we move on, as this airs. Impact is merely hours away once again. And on that show tonight, tomorrow, we have the contract signing for the main event of W. Morrissey, Matt Cardona, and Moose. We have Rohit Raju taking on Josh Alexander. We have Tennille Dashwood versus Jessie McKay. We have a tag match I'm looking forward to. Doc Gallows and Joe Doring taking on Willie Mack and Rich Swann. The X Division Championship is on the line. John Scarlett takes on Trey Miguel. And also, from a very confusing segment backstage on last week's episode, we have Laredo Kid versus Chris Bay. What are you looking forward to on that show?
That's a great card. You know, that's a pay-per-view. That's maybe not a pay-per-view quality card, but it's an Impact Plus card. Yeah, I think Bay and Laredo Kid will be tremendous. There's no way that match isn't tremendous. It'd be cool to see what Josh and Rohit do. I'm guessing it'll be a squash. I'm guessing Josh will totally overpower Rohit, and that's fine. As I say, they can rebuild Rohit, but yeah, it sounds like a good show. I'm looking forward to the tag match you mentioned, Doc and Joe Doring against the Soldiers. Yes. I actually wrote on my notes here that the tag team division was looking pretty bleak for a period of time, but they're really doing a good job of establishing some teams again. So you've got VBD, you've got Heath and Rhino, you've got the Soldiers, the Good Brothers are the champions, they're good champions, pardon the pun. You've got Decay, you've got Bullet Club, Heath and Rhino, Swingers Palace. if you want to interject them, Swinger and Hernandez. You got the Dizzy Hit Squad. There's so many teams now where it felt like just a matter of weeks ago, it was just Finn Juice and the Good Brothers and Bullet Club.
Yeah.
So, I felt that, although we had a great X division, a great women's division, a great main event picture, the tag team division was really lacking, and they've done a great job of building that back up. I think there's still a way to go, and there's some great teams out there at the moment, like the Briscoes. So there's definitely stuff to look forward to in the tag team division.
Completely agree. And on the tag division, obviously recently you can see it on Impact Ultimate Insiders and Impact Plus, but the Wolves recently reunited.
Yes.
Now
yeah.
I believe Davey posted a tweet earlier this week saying that he is signed with MLW and Eddie is signed with Impact, but the forbidden door is wide open, which will be. I don't know if you've seen that match. I don't give it away, but the promo, the Wolves cut at the end of that match, it's going to make it a bit more interesting as well, because especially if they come back to Impact, which I've been wanting Davey to come back to Impact for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, family and being I use is it EMT, which is just badass. But I mean, as for this week, I mean, the contract signing, I like a contract signing when they're done right. It's the same thing with most things, but you don't kind of know what to expect from a wrestling contract signing. Someone's either going to go through a table, or they're just going to scrap.
Yeah.
I mean, Impact don't necessarily always follow that same mold. You look at Decay and the Inspiration for Bound for Glory. The inspiration weren't there, but they had someone sign on behalf of them, so nothing really kicked off, which was probably contract signing. But I go back to Mickey and Deanna, how great that contract signing was, or Finn Juice and the Good Brothers. Sat down, had a few drinks, and then started fighting because Scott walked out. So I know it's going to happen. So Scott walked out.
Yeah.
So, especially with Cardona the way he is, I mean, he's not going to win it. But I just, that still there's that little edge head inside me that says he's going to win it.
Yeah,
because he should win it. But no, I mean, on the Rohit and Walking Weapon match, I think, and it seems like to me that maybe Jonah will get himself involved in this one.
Okay.
I've got this feeling Jonah's gonna pop up on this one, and maybe cost Josh the match. I don't know, but it wouldn't make too much difference because Josh doesn't necessarily need to win this one. If as long as Josh makes an impact on this match and comes and still one standing tall, doesn't necessarily need to win it. As long as Josh looks good, he's still a viable option as the next world champion.
Okay, and it will give Rohit some swagger, wouldn't it, if he beats Josh Alexander?
So, I mean, Rohit is a former X-Division champion in his own right. He's had a great run. Very someone I'm kind of have collaborated with before said that Rohit was like the Crash Holly of the X Division.
I tell you, just quickly, I know you were only like 3 or something, but Crash Holly was my favorite wrestler growing up in the Attitude Era. He was my absolute favorite wrestler. Whilst everyone else is like, oh, I like The Undertaker, I like Stone Cold, I like The Rock. Nah, Crash Holly, mate.
Yeah, I pride myself on knowing history stuff, and I've watched a lot of Crash Holly stuff, and he was great. I watched him versus the British Bulldog on one of the UK pay-per-views, and
Rebellion 2000.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh no, actually, it might not have been. I think it was Insurrection. It was Insurrection 2000.
There's been a No Way Out. There's been a no, it wasn't No Way Out. It was that's gonna bug me.
There was a No Mercy in 1999 in the UK.
Yeah, because Shane McMahon tried to drive home there'd be no mercy for you, no mercy for you.
Yeah, that's right.
The corporation ministry for the corporate ministry. That's it.
Yeah.
No, get there in the end. But getting back onto Impact, I mean, the X Division Championship is on the line this week. John Scarlett faces Trey Miguel.
Yeah, it's a big match.
Yeah, because when John Scarlett first came in, I know a few were familiar with him, and I knew the name. I hadn't seen it a lot, but I knew the name, and thought that this could be a big signing in like the next 3-4 years. Not a star right now, but there's potential there for work to be put in for him to be a star of the X Division in the next 3 to 4 years. So yeah, it's definitely a big show. Laredo and Bay, even though the segment was kind of interesting, but I did like Chris Bay saying that he wants to hold all the belts. Even though I don't like using the term belt, I'm friendly like that. It's
all right, Vince.
I just it just kind of takes away from it for me a little bit. I don't use the term belt, but even
I like the term strap. How about
that? Yeah, it's better than belt. Like names for titles are important. Like the DMC. I'm so glad D'Lo started that, because the Digital Media Championship was quite a mouthful, and I wasn't sure how it was going to land. But the DMC, great. The DMC title, even, you know.
the DMC title is redundant. The Digital Media Championship title.
You're the title of champion. You have the champion title.
It's like asking someone for their PIN number.
Yeah, I do that all the time. But also coming up this week, we have the return of Throwback Throwdown.
Yes.
From the Louisville, Kentucky at the Davis Arena. It's live, which should make it that little bit more interesting. No match has been announced, but we have Matt Cardona and Brian Myers teaming up as Stomp in Paradise. I think that's the name of their team.
Oh yeah.
And again, don't quote me on it, but I believe Matt Cardona's character is G.I. Bro. I have no idea what Brian Myers has been called, but is also Sex Ferguson. I assume Chad Too Bad will be there. Sonny Sanders, which is Sammy Callahan, he'll also be there for a meet and greet. Jessica Havoc. I'm not sure if they can do the Rough Riders this year, but
no, because it was Tessa and Alexia Nicole, wasn't it?
Yeah,
last year.
I love the Rough Riders. That was a great thing. I wish they could have, because obviously at that point everyone was hoping that Jordan and Tessa would become tag team champions, which I still say they should have done.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not beating the North, but that would have been a great thing to have done at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I see Downtown Daddy Brown will be on there.
Yeah.
See, I'm not sure about you, but when the first one came around and they were like promoting it with throwback movie pictures, like, you know, the Ghostbusters and whatever else they did. The Ghostbusters one stand out to me the most because that's when I seem to connect with a little bit more. But did you feel it's going to be something different, or didn't you really have an expectation going in?
I didn't have an expectation going into the first one, but I absolutely loved it. I love stuff like that. The Southpaw Regional Wrestling that WWE did was outstanding. Anytime wrestlers, because we are creative at our core, anytime we get to do something fun and creative and something totally different from our normal characters, I just think it resonates. And yeah, the first one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And now they're doing a whole pay-per-view, or Impact Plus special, I should say, in this style. I think it's going to be fantastic. And, you know, people take and wrestlers do this the most, trust me. People take wrestling too seriously. Wrestling's fun. Wrestling's ridiculous. You know, at its core, wrestling isn't wrestling. Wrestling, as I said, it shouldn't be taken seriously. And this pay-per-view is not meant to be taken seriously. It's going to be 3 hours of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, I'm with you. I love this type of stuff. It's just silly. It's I mean, the amount of times I laughed during the last one. You know, the Sexton Hardcastle and timber.
Yeah, building.
Yeah.
Racetrack.
Yeah, that was great stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, obviously, I know the main reaction to it wasn't great, but you know, if you're going into this expecting it to be like, I hate to say 5-star match, but if you're thinking on that level, you're going to be disappointed. It's just having a laugh just to call off the year. It's the last show of the year. I just want to have a laugh, go out, give people a good time. I know at the Don Kolov Arena, the crowd weren't that into it. It wasn't a lot of major reactions, but I think this one, they might have a bit more because they know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think people, because these characters aren't established, so people didn't know what to expect. They didn't know whether they're meant to boo or cheer, because they might be cheering someone they would usually boo, and vice versa. And it's a small building, and you get those OVW, hardcores in.
Yeah.
So it's a different crowd for Impact to be in front of. But yeah, as you said, if the crowd know what to expect and they know they're going to go and have a good time and have a laugh, then I think the reaction to it will be better this year.
Yeah, especially with Chad Too Bad and Six Ferguson, because people already know who they are for the most part, and it's just going to be fun. Rapid Delivery Pete, Rip Razor, but I love how they keep Johnny Swinger the same. Johnny Swinger is just Johnny Swinger. I love that so much, because Swinger is a great character, and it's not often you get great characters. Great wrestling, amazing, but on the main shows you don't get, especially with Raw or AEW, you don't get big characters, big personalities. Johnny Swinger is perfect character in my opinion, because also he has that history of TNA going back as well.
Yeah.
Fun show. It's this Saturday, the 18th for the States, Sunday morning for us. But we're used to it by now.
Is it a late one? Is it going to be one of those 3 a.m. starts?
No, I think it's back to midnight, 1 a.m. start, I think.
Okay. I might try and stay up and watch it then.
Yeah, I think it's about 7 p.m. Eastern, so 8 p.m. Eastern. But let's move on. This will be our final 10 minutes. And as I'm sure you're aware, this week it was revealed that Jimmy Rave, former Impact star, former Ring of Honor star, unfortunately passed away. It's been known for quite some time that he had some issues, and unfortunately had both his legs amputated and his arm amputated. At the age of 39, unfortunately, he passed away, which it's Jimmy Rave. He was, for TNA fans, everyone knows him from the Rock and Rave infection. He was in carrying out the Guitar Hero guitars. It's great stuff. And in Ring of Honor, I'm obviously not too familiar with Ring of Honor, but I like to know my history. And Jimmy Rave, from what it seems like from most reactions, was he was a very underrated heel. I watched the videos of the toilet paper being thrown at him. It's thrown it back. It was great stuff, and it's clear how many lives currently in wrestling that he's touched and had an effect on, such a positive effect on, and it's helped. It's really unfortunate, but we'll be posting the link to the GoFundMe for his funeral and memorial service in the comments set up by his daughter. Do you want to say anything about Jimmy Rave? Any moment that sticks out, or just the impact he had in general?
Yeah, well, I was first exposed to Jimmy Rave in Ring of Honor, and I saw his stuff with the Embassy, managed by Prince Nana, and I was at a show in Broxbourne in Hertfordshire when Ring of Honor came for their first UK tour, and Jimmy Rave wrestled Doug Williams, and this was the peak of the toilet paper. So as soon as that tune from Ben-Hur started playing, everyone was like, yes, okay, and they were getting their toilet paper ready. As soon as he walked out of that curtain, he was being pelted. Usually people wait until he gets in the ring, not us Brits. So he was getting pelted on his way to the ring. As soon as he was in the ring, I've never seen anything like it. You know the scenes from Japan where they're throwing streamers in the ring? This was 10 times that, but with toilet paper, and pink toilet paper, because for some reason the UK has pink toilet paper, but no one else does.
Yeah.
In the US, they just have white, but we have pink. I don't know why. So yeah, all this toilet paper was mad. It was such a great scene and so much fun. But I was going through my DVD collection earlier this year and watching some of Jimmy's old stuff with CM Punk, AJ Styles, Colt Cabana, and I had known about Jimmy's arm because Jimmy's arm was amputated last year. So I messaged Jimmy on Twitter and just said, I'm really sorry about what's happened to you. I just want you to know that how good you were, and just feel bad for your situation, basically. And he said, thanks, man, really appreciate it. Things aren't good at the moment. And you could tell he was down in the dumps. 2 days later, he tweeted about having his legs amputated. So he had them amputated, but was revealing it on Twitter. So I didn't know that, obviously, when I messaged him. So yeah, he was in a real bad way. And then yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't shocking to find out about his death. Poor old boy. He was only 39. He's only 5 years older than me. Yeah, real sad. As you say, he affected a lot of people's careers. Martin Stone, who wrestles for NXT as Danny Burch, posted on Facebook that he had a road trip with Jimmy Rave, and he wrestled him on that show, and he learned so much. And Jimmy was so giving to Martin, who was just trying to establish himself on the US. And no one really had a bad word to say about Jimmy Rave. Such an underrated heel, villain, whatever you want to call it. And I put this on my little tribute tweet, that he's a wrestler that wasn't appreciated in his own time. And I think from now on and for the following years, people will go back and watch Jimmy Rave matches and realize, holy shit, that guy was good. Yeah. And you mentioned the rock and rave infection. We were talking before we started recording, and that roster at the time, sort of 2008, was so stacked. I dare say it was the best TNA roster they ever had. And the Rock and Rave Infection were a mainstay on that roster. You can't take that away from them. And they were so entertaining, with a lot of serious wrestlers like Kurt Angle and Sting, people like that on the roster. You needed some light relief. Yeah. And that came in the courtesy of the Rock and Rave Infection. They had tremendous matches with like LAX, Motor City Machine Guns, and other teams in that era. Yeah, but people, I hope people do go back and realize how good Jimmy Rave was, and it's so sad that his life ended so abruptly.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, like I said, I didn't really start watching TNA until around 2011, 2012. But as I said, I pride myself on the history of companies, and the Rock and Rave Infection were so entertaining. Obviously, I was kind of familiar with Christy Hemme before that. Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer, same with him. But Jimmy Rave, I wasn't too familiar with until I just started looking back on runs in TNA that he started in the Asylum. He debuted for TNA in the Asylum. I think it was 2003 in the X Division.
Yeah.
And for me, seeing his just natural ability, he should have been X Division champion. But he easily should have been X Division champion and potentially even tag team champions. But like you said, during that time with the Rock and Rave Infection, that roster was just insane. But it goes to show how even though that roster was stacked, people still remember the Rock and Rave Infection. They had that just natural ability just to be great at what they did. I believe it was against Beer Money. I think it was the last match Rock and Rave Infection wrestled. I think it was for tag team titles, but I can't be quite sure at the minute. But that was great. I mean, he was in there with James Storm, Bobby Roode, and you believe they could win it. It's just really unfortunate. Jimmy reached out to me a few months ago, midway for this year, and yeah, he asked if I could help contribute to his GoFundMe for his medical and stuff. And didn't have too much of a chat, but I said that how much I enjoyed his run in TNA and how entertaining it all was. It's really unfortunate this is how it had to end for him, because he wasn't done by any stretch until just obviously unfortunate things happen, and this is the situation we're currently in. We've like I said, Jimmy Rave, starting from hopefully right now, people realize just how good he was. They didn't realize back then. They're surely going to realize it now, because he has inspired so many people. I believe on NXT this week, Gigi Dolan, the toxic attraction, wore Jimmy Rave t-shirt on NXT, which it's just little things like that makes you realize just how far he stretched as a person and as a inspiration to people.
Well, I hope Lance Archer gets the opportunity to do something on Dynamite this week, as a shout out to Jimmy, and I'm sure Impact will do a nice little piece honoring him as well. Yeah,
I expect to see a in memoriam picture on the start of Impact at least.
At the very least.
Yeah, at the very least. I understand it's pre-taped, so there's not a lot you can do, but there can be some sort of tribute towards him.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah, that's it for another week. Hope you enjoy the show. Again, we'll be posting the link to the GoFundMe in the comments to help raise funds for Jimmy Rave's funeral and family's aftercare and everything that they need.
Well, you remember, sorry to cut you off, Craig, but Jimmy had a lot of medical bills that are now going to be passed on to his family, unfortunately. So anything, I chucked in 20 quid, anything you can do to contribute, their family would be very grateful. Any amount.
Yeah, it's whatever you can do. We understand that times are difficult for everyone right now, but if you can just chuck in a $5, whatever, just do what you can. And it doesn't feel right to plug so much, but you know what to do by now. Just follow us here, follow us there, follow us everywhere. And until next time, thank you for watching again. Take care, my friends. Bye.